What's up, guys? Ace here. So, during the recording of this episode, I had the wrong mic input set, and due to that fact, my audio will not be up to regular standards. Hopefully, I won't make this mistake again in the future. Enjoy the episode.
強くなれる勇士が僕を連れて進む
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Gurren Otaku Council podcast. As always, I am Ace,
And I'm McMillian.
and today we are back with episode 4. But before we get to that, just remember, if you want to be a part of the council and join us every week, then make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as follow us on our social media to get all the updates on the council. And with that being said, the council is now in session. Let the meeting begin. How you doing today, Million?
I'm good. Can't complain. These last two episodes of Mushoku and 86 have been holding it down. Demon Slayer, we're gonna talk about you in a minute. But as always, everybody, please remember the spoiler warning for these episodes. So be sure to watch the animes as we go ahead and talk about them and review them. So you aren't getting spoiled by us. But if you just so happen to just like watching this and listening to us, then hey, we're glad to have you.
I'm sorry, I got an angry dog over here. All right. So we can go ahead and get it started with. We're gonna start with Mugen Train the movie today. Episode. What episode is it? It's 4 now.
It's episode 4.
All right.
Titled Insult. I have much I can say about this episode again, movie. But I will say it's probably the beginning of the fights basically of the movie, and something I do enjoy specifically about like this encounter with this episode features Tanjiro's first encounter with Lower Moon 1 Enmu, and something I really like the visual. The way they animated Tanjiro's like passing out and coming back was great in the movie, and it was still really nice to see in this episode.
Yeah. Stuff.
Oh my god, Ace's dog is back there tearing it up.
He back into like he decides to us want to start recording for him to start messing with everything today, but it's okay though. You're gonna get right. There you go. Sit on down. Alrighty. But no, I would have to agree with you as well. That whole little sequence was nice. Especially for the fact that how when Emma was talking about, how much resilience it actually takes for a person to, even though that they know in a dream, but for them to even still commit suicide, even though they are in a dream, takes a lot of resilience from a person. And they didn't show it as much inside the movie from these scenes, not the movies from the anime in these scenes, but the scenes where, in the movie where they show, Tanjiro going, just cutting his neck over and over again. It's just like, yeah, he's doing it.
Such a wild and crazy concept to be like continued multiple suicides to continue trying to fight somebody.
Correct.
Like, hats off to you, author, for having that crazy idea. Because visually, it was so powerful. By the way, like to see him get knocked out and then constantly come back and just be ready to throw hands with Enmu. It was a really shocking, process.
Correct. And then at the very end of that whole scene, when Enmu also tried to show. Well, he didn't try to. When he showed basically a nightmare to Tanjiro about when his family was killed, and him saying that they was like, why would you the one to live? You're just going about living without a care in the world and stuff like that. Rightfully that pissed Tanjiro off. That was also a nice little scene because as we all know, Tanjiro cares about his family deeply, and that just goes to show you that, hey, don't play with that boy about his family. He already out here doing something he, like we mentioned before, he really wasn't built for this life. This man was selling coal, for a living. So
yeah, just in the mountains chilling. And then here we go, and you trying to taunt him with his family. And one thing I really like about this scene specifically is the fact that most times in animes or TV shows or like even books and comics, when the villain throws like their family's death in their face and stuff like that, usually they get all they usually get sad and depressed, and Tanjiro is like, how dare you, nigga? I am coming for your head. Like, it was such a refreshing take on that type of like interaction.
Yeah, because like you
As
said,
well.
immediately after that happens, he proceeds to cut off the demon's head. And when I first saw that in the movie, I was like, it couldn't have been that easy, right? Like, is this what we're doing already?
See, I wonder. But so what's funny about that, and this is the type of conversation I wish the show, this movie arc brought up more. If you didn't know it was a movie, would you have thought that it wasn't that easy, or did the movie help solidify that in your head, like
yes,
a large
yes.
runtime?
Also, I think that the fact that it was a movie, it was just like, this can't be it, right? Because I think at that point we was only like 30 minutes into the movie, something like that. So it was
I want to say 30, 40.
Yeah, close to it, something like that. And so I was like, this can't be it, right? Like, this ain't the end of the movie. Something else gotta be going on. And then, you look closer and you realize that the guy's body isn't disappearing or anything. I was like, yeah, something's up. And then, of course, he does the big reveal of, I done fused my body to the train and stuff like that.
The train. What?
Now that I wasn't expecting when I first saw it. I was like, okay, so I didn't even know, at least I guess I forgot that demons could fuse with things, let alone, I guess, ambient things, such as a train like that.
I mean, they show early on in the series that demons can like alter their bodies to do certain things. Like, for instance, I forget his name, but the guy who used to be a Lower Moon, the drum dude,
yeah,
right? Like, he feels with drums, and it altered his body and the way he fought. So it's very easy. I feel like if you were a Demon Slayer fan and that happened, you saw you would be like, this is insane. How does this work? But like, they even established early on that demons can like alter their bodies. So that's just, it was wild when they revealed it in the movie, and it's still a wild concept right now here in the show.
Yeah. So yeah, when I first saw that definitely caught me off guard, because I was like, demons can do that? Since when? They didn't tell us this. They didn't give us the memo on demons being able to do stuff like this. That caught me all the way off guard. And I guess one of the only other things that I did enjoy about this episode / scenes from the movie was Zenitsu's dream.
With Nezuko, he said, "What have you done?" When they got close to his subconscious mind, Zenitsu was like, "What have you done with my girl Nezuko?" And he was like, and that nigga was like, "Who? I'm confused. What?"
Zenitsu was not having it. My boy said, "What is a guy doing in here?"
That's the worst. I feel like Zenitsu's mind is the worst person. You just got the short straw, basically, because
him and Rengoku, goddammit.
I mean, well, yeah, but I was like, Zenitsu fights while he's asleep, so like you just had a disadvantage anyway, and then he crazy.
Oh, so no, that man is a fool. So basically, yeah. So he pops up with these big ass
big ass shears.
Tell me, what the fuck are you doing here? Why is a man in here? Only Nezuko is allowed in here. And I was like, you just met Nezuko, and now all of a sudden Nezuko is the only person allowed in here. You know what, Zenitsu, you need to be stopped at all costs.
Yeah, boy, a fool.
You need to be stopped at all costs. But that man is a fool. And then so we end with the end of this episode. Basically stops at where Inosuke wakes up. And he realizes what's going on, and that he was like, basically, I'm right. The train is a demon. They didn't show that part in the anime, but
it's just funny because he wanted to fight the train at the beginning, and his wildest dreams became reality.
It was So that was hilarious.
So he was ready to go from the jump. That was hilarious. But I guess going into the rating for this episode, again, this is just difficult because like you're asking me to. It's the movie. I've seen it.
I mean, considering.
But I guess with everything in this episode, with all we got to see, this is probably like a 7.5, maybe. I want to say of an episode.
I mean, I could give it a 6, but I mean, Demon Slayer animation is never lacking. But the animation alone could make me to a 7.
I was about to say maybe that's why I say 7, because like technically I guess not a lot happened, but it was enough for me to be like, okay, the story. Like again, it's hard because I've seen this already in the movie, so I'm just like, am I giving it too low because I've seen the movie? But it's their fault because they released the movie twice. So I don't know, but like I would say probably a 7 because of the animation, and then also probably like Tanjiro's nightmare kind of pushed it over for me because it just reveals more about his character.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
So that was Demon Slayer insult.
Yeah. looking at from the scenes that they did in this episode, the next episode should be the scenes we'll be getting Rengoku and possibly them defeating Enmu, maybe.
I don't know if it's gonna be that.
Just the far how they. I guess it depends on how far they want to go.
Yeah, I feel like it might be they might make it to the head of the train. And
well, I mean, because
it might cut there.
The head of them walking up to the head of the train is literally like these next few scenes that's going to be shown though next.
I don't know. I feel like the episodes are going to leave more cliffhangers than.
I mean, there's not much cliffhangers they can do because there's not many like legit. So the next episode should be Rengoku waking up, him giving the orders to Tanjiro and Inosuke, hey, go find the head of the train, and they go off and find the head of the train. So it's this.
I protect 4 cars
basically by myself.
Yeah,
and so next episode should basically be Tanjiro and Inosuke versus Enmu. It should be that.
Yeah, no, you're right. I was considering the way I was thinking about it. Unless they add something to these next episodes, who knows?
I mean,
I've been waiting for them to add something.
Wait, no, because it's the Mugen Train arc is supposed to be 7 episodes, right?
Yes, I want to say yes. I believe it was. It's supposed to be 7, and we're on episode 4 right now.
Episode 4. So episode 5 can be Tanjiro and Inosuke versus Enmu. Episode 6 will be Rengoku versus the Up Moon 3. I can't remember his name right now. You know it though. What's his name?
Akaza. For those who have not watched the movie, please watch the movie. So yeah, I'm not even going to apologize for that spoiler. Just watch the movie.
Yeah. So episode 6 would be that, and then episode 7 will probably reflect on the aftermath of that fight and just probably hopefully leading on into actually what's going to be going on in season 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if it is 7 episodes, then that should be the next sequence we got there going on based upon what parts of the movie we actually have left to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but with that being said, we're gonna move on from Mugen Train the movie and head on to our next anime we got today. And so today we don't have any double ups today, guys, because we're finally caught up. So we're gonna move on to 86 now, starting with episode 17.
Yeah, season 1, episode 17.
Correct. There we go. I remember everybody. So yeah, 86 episode 17, and so not much happened in this episode of 86. It's definitely.
It was more implication. I would say like a lot of stuff happened, but it wasn't action.
Correct. So this was more definitely like a setup type episode. Like the next episode should be crazy.
Yeah. Next episode should definitely be wild.
Next episode should be wild. So the episode opens up with the scene from the Republic, and they're just getting slaughtered. I knew the Legion were. We all knew the Legion were coming and attacking and stuff like that. But I didn't think that it was gonna get that bad. Like they getting whooped over there.
They start in Saint Magnolia, and I don't know what they call their citizens, if they have like a race name or whatever. But the people that live within Saint Magnolia, the blue-eyed, silver-haired people,
they might be with. Are they called the Republicans? I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know if they call their race something different. I just know that they're blue-eyed and they have like white or silver hair. They are running for their lives. The Legion is shooting up buildings. There's obviously structures are falling down, everything. And it's crazy because I'm like, we get one glimpse of Lena and her squad of like the people that actually care about the war.
I mean, at this point, you ain't got no choice but to care. They at your front.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
they're in your home.
But I'm saying, like, it's obviously, but I'm saying it's the people they showed us at the end of the last episode.
Oh yeah, correct. Yeah,
working together, and we get one scene of them, and then we immediately go back to the Federacy of Jihad or
the Giad.
something. And And I'm just like, I have so many questions. Like, is Lena alive? She dead.
Now you know
How
they ain't gonna
many
kill Lena.
86?
Now
I
well,
mean,
hold on. Well, actually, I would hope they wouldn't kill Lena off like that. But 86 be listen. I don't put nothing past
I don't know.
86 no more.
Yeah, I was about to say my rule of thumb is if it's not an on-screen death,
It didn't happen.
then
But
it
no,
didn't happen.
not with 86.
But
That's how they did my boy Eugene.
I was like, Eugene got packed up.
In 3 seconds. In 3 seconds. They could listen. They could have let. See, you know what? I would have been. I'm glad you brought that back up because I would have been fine with them letting Eugene die in this blast that just took place in the last episode / this episode. Like they could have let my boy die like that. They didn't have to pack him up in that first episode with him being in the military like that. Like, and then that blast would have actually gave it meaning too as well. Like,
I don't. Well, hold on. Hold on now, because it does have meaning. Because we'll get. Remember later in the episode, we see.
Well, yes, it does have meaning, but I mean, death wise, like,
I guess the viewer. Yeah, I guess the viewership, but yeah, no, I'd hope they wouldn't do Lena like that, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
We're just gonna come back next episode, and then next they're gonna be showing Lena's severed arm in the field somewhere.
Oh my god, PTSD. But to touch on what Ace said, so we after looking at Sam Manoli, we are then whisked away to Jihad, where we get to the aftermath of the explosion that happened and the after credit scene of last episode. And luckily, all our main characters survived, but the base did not.
Yeah, no, the base got tore up.
The base is tore up. There's a whole bunch of people, and
on top of that, so the Legion did this massive scale attack, not only just that one base that they were in, but a few other of the bases that the GI had owned as well. And over 20,000 people had died because of those attacks, which is crazy. They took a massive hit to their military right there from that attack.
Yeah, and it started, and this is when we started getting to see how GI, and in this episode, because of that, we get to see how GI actually isn't as much better than the Republic.
Correct.
You see the military like, oh, who can we basically send on this suicide mission? Because we finally get to learn what type of Legion Kyria is, and apparently it's one of them. I don't know how many people have like. The only thing I can compare it to, there's this game called Trails of Cold Steel, and one of the main weapons or things in that game is this are these rail cannons on train tracks, basically. Apparently, Kyria became a Legion to the equivalent of that, and they need to basically
call it the Morpheus, right?
The Morpheus, I believe, is what they call it. Yeah. And basically, the only people that the Jihad Republic feels comfortable sending are the poor 86 children who have no family and who have basically been weapons this whole time.
Correct. I mean, but even though that's a fucked up situation, at the same time, when you think about it, they probably have the best chance of actually completing the mission.
Let me say, I don't. It's not that I don't understand. It's just that to me, it just goes back to what Raiden said, like how this country thinks they're better, but in reality,
100%.
They're just kind of the same.
100%. Like the first people you think of sent on this suicide mission is the 86. It's kind of fucked up. Granted, be that as it may, and granted that they might actually be the best people for the job, and to actually possibly even have the best chance of succeeding, it's still fucked up. It's still fucked up.
I was just saying that it just illustrates, like, while they like to act like, oh, we don't want you to live this lifestyle, at the end of the day, when the chips are down, you gotta live it, right? I guess. So that was, it's pretty bad. Actually, what's another interesting thing that comes of this is that we actually finally get the glimpse to see the other two, the leaders of the other two countries talk to Ernst in the middle of this episode. And so I guess at some point we might get a little bit more from them. But it was just good to see that while it seems like Saint Magnolia is cut off from this, like, mini alliance that they might be having, because that's what it seems like.
I mean, at this point, Saint Magnolia really ain't got no.
Yeah, I mean, they ain't got no chips in this fight, really, because
they got some issues on their own hand right now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I was saying that to illustrate, because, like, in season 1, they are just by themselves.
Correct.
Like, And then in this season, we actually get to see the Ernst, who's the leader of Jihad, actually try and communicate with the other two countries. And I thought that was like, I thought it was just important for like world building purposes, like to show how Jihad and everything else operates in this time.
Correct. And then even on top of that, piggybacking off, that whole conversation between Earth and the other nations leaders or whatnot, that whole conversation that they had was also how they figured out what type of Legion Kyria was and stuff, and what type of weapon and stuff he had as well. And so they launched. So basically, the whole mission that they're sending the 86 on is going to be a mission a mission taking place after they already done an attack on the Morpheus, but they wasn't able to destroy it. And so right now the Morpheus is being repaired, and they said it's going to take an estimate about 3 months, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But it's going to take a minute for the Morpheus to rebuild itself. So right now it's repairing itself, and why is in the repairing stage? They're going to try and attack it before it can attack them again. Because if it comes back and attack them again, they're basically done for.
That's basically it.
Yeah. So next episode is definitely shaping up to look like to be another banger from 86, which is good. We're probably gonna get this whole last few these episodes of 86 for the season gonna be bangers, because we still got to see what's going on with the Republic. That whole conflict got to be resolved, as well as this suicide mission now that the 86 are about to be sent on. So these next few weeks of 86 looking to be real good, ladies and gentlemen.
They're just taking a break though next week, so we're gonna have to wait and see what all comes of it. But before we close out on this, I just want to mention the since you brought up Eugene, we find out this episode that Eugene's little sister has been writing Shin letters.
You're right.
And she is like, basically telling him, why'd you kill my brother? I want him back. Give me my brother back.
She needs to be stopped at all costs as well. Because first of all, you don't even know what's going on, little girl. But I can't fault her at the same time though.
Exactly. I was about to say
she's a little sister. That was her older brother. She just misses her older brother. So I can't really truly fault her for that.
Yeah, no, she going through it right now, and it's understandable. And it was nice. One thing about that scene that I really liked, when you realize who the letters are coming from, is how much Eugene's death or everybody's death is affecting Shin.
Correct.
As he's moving forward.
Yeah.
Because it's that reason why he fights with such reckless abandon, is because he's like, I need to stop this from happening at all costs. That was something illustrated very well within this episode, that the 86, they actually refuse to stop fighting because they're like, we know how bad this is, and just to let it keep happening would be no better than us acting like the higher ups at the Republic.
Correct. So basically they're going to say they're going to keep fighting until the war is over. Only then can they rest. That's basically what they said with that. Which is, it's like, it's very noble of you, but then at the same time, it was like you were thrown into this fight, though. It's not like you chose to, fight this fight from the beginning. But I mean, I guess, after all this, have you been known for the your past few years of your life? I guess that's understandable.
I mean, I think it's hard. Like you said, I think it's harder to separate yourself from it when you've been dedicated to it for so long, and you've seen not only it take like the people that force you into this war, but also your friends. Like that's something that is definitely difficult to deal with, and I can see why they would have problems or trouble with like retiring, because then it would mean like, oh, we are just letting this happen to anybody now.
Correct. So yeah. So with that being said, what would you rate this episode of 86?
I'd probably give this one. It's a setup episode for stuff to come, but it did a really nice job of illustrating all the problems that are happening with it. Not only GI, but also Ace and McMillian and other places. So I kind of want to give this like a 7.5 or 7.
Okay.
Somewhere in between there, because it did what it did for the character building for Shin pretty strong, and then also like the other stuff on the world, like the stuff you found out. It just wasn't enough for me to be like super grabbed or pulled into, because I would love to be like, oh, this is an 8, but it's not like as grabbing as it could have.
I agree. I think I have to stick with a 7 as well. Really for all the same everything you just mentioned as well, on top of as well as not everybody in the military really hates the 86. The people in there
their commander actually was really upset about the fact that she had to send them off on this mission.
Like,
and then
she was pissed.
And then Shin's lieutenant, I think, or whatever
He was
the
also pissed.
yeah, he was like, I have children y'all's age. Y'all could stop this. Like, I'm not comfortable with y'all doing this.
Yeah.
Please stop.
Please, reconsider, because they actually have the choice to not go on this mission if they don't want to. But of course, the 86, they're not gonna do that. They're gonna, like as we already said before, if they do that, they're gonna feel like they're no better than the Republic. So they're not gonna make that choice to back out of this mission. So yeah, but that being said, for all those reasons, I have to give it a 7 as well. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't really nothing too grabbing, but we did get a lot of world building stuff today in this episode. We got, like we were saying earlier, we got to see the other leaders of the other nations from Royal Gracia and the Alliance of Wald. We also got to see how a lot of the deaths actually are starting to impact Shin, as well as how, not everybody in the military does hate 86. The people in the squadron actually does care for them and stuff like that. So we got to see that as well. And then we also did get to see, like I said, the other side of the Gia Confederacy that, they're not all as well as they seem out to be. So, yeah. Well, with that being said, we're going to move on to the last anime we got slated for today. Mushoku Tensei, episode 17 as well.
Yep, episode 17 is titled Reunion. In this episode, we basically get to see all that Paul went through after the Mana disaster, and boy was it! Boy,
before you really get started, I'm gonna say it this once. I'm gonna say it again. I love the way Mushoku does their intros, because instead of just playing the intro
like an AMV.
Yes, like an MV. We got to see the scenes that McMillian is about to describe now.
Yeah, because so we finally actually get to see into what Paul went through after the Mana disaster, and it really lets you know why or how he got upset with Rudy. Because unlike Rudy, Rudy had it tough. Like, I'm not gonna say he didn't, but Paul, thinking from if I put myself in Paul's shoes, which it really helped this intro did. I had to take care of my daughter that luckily got lost with me after thinking that it was just some like storm and somehow I got displaced. I have to constantly make sure she's okay. And then when I finally make it back to some semblance of home, the town seems to be destroyed and everybody's different places in dispatch.
It wasn't even no seems to be. That motherfucker was gone.
I wasn't sure. Well, the only reason I said seems is because I wasn't sure if that was exactly their town.
I mean, I'm taking it as that was their town because, like, when he got to the field and just stood there, you saw that blank expression on his face. So that had to be their town. Like, yeah, I would assume that was either or the kingdom that their town was in, something similar to that. But
yeah, but because somebody recognized him, so it was like, But so Paul took it upon himself not only to try and save his family, but the other people that lived in his city.
Correct.
And you see that over time, like, there were some people he was able to find, a lot of people he wasn't, and he started to feel like a failure. He resulted into deep drinking and depression, got really depressed and everything like that. So you really get to see where that anger and upsetness came from. Correct. When he finally saw Rudy again.
Because I'm glad you brought that up. Because imagine, you go on this, journey to, go find the lost people of the village and stuff like that, and you're starting to find people, but you're finding everybody but anyone from your family, though. Which still, that still gotta kind of hurt. Like, even though you are finding people from the village, the one people that you're mainly looking for, you're still not able to find them, though.
And also, and to top it off, that you have to be the constant like source of joy or like constant in your daughter's life, in your young daughter's life. That the one person that's still like around you, and it's almost not to say that like having Norn with him was bad, but she's also serves as a reminder that he couldn't find his wife, his other daughter, and his baby mama, because I can't remember her name and I don't have a better description for it. I'm so sorry, people. But like
disrespecting her like that. She is an integral part of their family.
She is, but she is still a baby mama. But like. We got to see how all that weighed on him, and it obviously became a dependency where he built up a dependency on like drinking and stuff like that. Correct. And just all those emotions obviously came out when him and Rudy fought.
Correct. Yeah, and then shout out to my boy Geese being Dr. Phil this episode.
Geese, the family therapist rogue. Who actually, I was so surprised when he showed up because I was like, oh, you've been working for Rudy Dad the whole time.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
That was interesting. I thought the
I was
exact same thing when I saw him strolling to the bar. And I was like, damn, you know Paul Geese? And you just met this, you was locked up with this man's son? This gotta be a good conversation about to go on, you know?
yeah, and I liked how Geese was like, he's was reminding Paul like, you've never been to the demon continent. So while your son made it sound like all rainbows and fairy tales,
It's not
not
all
like
rainbows
that.
and fairy tales.
It's not like that. He had to learn how to survive while also making sure to watch his back out, because he never knew if Rujid was at the beginning. He didn't know if Rujid was telling the truth or not, because all he had to go on was the superstitions his parents and teacher taught him about super-is.
Correct.
And then also he had Eris, who obviously needs a lot of care and attention, because she just go off and do whatever she want if not kept in check. So
and then he was in an unknown place, and then that unknown place just so happened to be the goddamn demon continent, which is not the best of unknown places to be.
Yeah, and shout out! I forget the commenter's name, but shout out to you, because you also pointed out to us that while Rudy was traveling, he was low on money, so he probably couldn't even write a letter to him or anything like that. And also, the state of the places he went probably weren't good enough to send letters.
Correct.
So that was a really good call out, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
Which just goes into Geese's whole explanation. Like, you should really be thankful that Rudy did not come to back you in pieces.
Yeah,
and it was
Geese really brought that other side of the of
the conversation forward.
He came in and he was like, you know what, Geese, you making a lot of sense over there. You got something going on, Geese. Like, he was even,
the family therapist rogue.
Like, he was over there even convincing me as a viewer as I'm listening to him. I'm like, you know what, Geese, you goddamn right.
And what's funny, you're a viewer, you already seen everything, so you already knew it. So it was just like, but it was such a good like moment of reflection from Paul, especially because like later that night when he left the tavern, he looks at Norn, and then he's reminded of the first time Rudy sees his sister, and then it flashes to a night, basically like a waking nightmare that he's had, where Rudy of how he would have felt basically if Rudy had come back damaged and injured and stuff like that, and he decides right then and there that he's going to make an effort to go apologize to Rudy. And in my opinion, that what happens next is probably one of the best father-son conversations that has ever happened in anime, because usually in anime, fathers and sons be trying to kill each other.
If the father is even there.
If the father is even there. And I thought you really got to see in the conversation that Rudy and Paul had, you got to see not only Paul's remorse, but Rudy's like feelings of guilt.
Correct.
That he never considered, that because last episode he was confronted with the fact that I haven't considered who else the minor disaster took. I never did, and you really get to see on Rudy's face and the way he interacts with his dad that he's like, he couldn't even look him in the eye. That's how ashamed he felt.
Yeah, and shout out to the bar owner as well for help being for being Dr. Field number 2 in this episode.
Yeah, because he came up to the table that they were sitting at, basically, because Paul went to where Rudy and the gang were staying, and he basically put himself in front of Rudy to try and have just a normal conversation. And Rudy couldn't look Paul in the eye because he felt so ashamed, but the bartender came over and was like, hey, this drink is on the house, and while I'm not to put myself in your business, at least look your dad in the eye. Look at him while you talk to him. And Rudy, the moment he does, realizes that Paul himself is also depressed, that he allowed all those feelings and everything to consume him when he finally got to see his son again.
Correct. And another thing that I did like about this episode was we actually got another flashback from Rudy's previous life. We haven't got one of those in a while now. And you got to see a little bit more. You got to learn a little bit more of why Rudy actually became a shut-in his previous life. Something happened. I think there was at school. So something happened at school or wherever Rudy was at. I'm just assuming it was school.
It seems that, well, yeah, I don't know if it was at school either, but the people were uniformed, so that's not a bad guess. But basically, like, they show it in the last season just for a glimpse. But basically, it seems like Rudy obviously was a fat, nerdy type of guy, and he had bullies, obviously, like most people do if they happen to look like that and are nerdy.
Fuck bullies.
Fuck bullies. and they seem to have like stripped him down and like hung him on a fence and stuff like that, which is crazy.
That was wild. Like
I,
that wasn't even bullying at that point. It was more like hazing at that point.
yeah. It's insane how another person could do that to another human being, but I don't. But regardless, Rudy from that interaction with his father realizes basically he we get another look at he doesn't have a name, I think, from he was regular his old life.
Yeah,
but we get to see
I just say
we get to see other life Rudy. Basically when he had the same type of situation where he confronted a friend about something that he wanted him to
be sympathetic
understand
about.
Like when he became like over emotional, he took his anger out on a friend and he didn't have the pride to go apologize or confront this friend anymore due to everything that happened. So he said, you know what, I'm not going to let this happen like last time. So Rudy, literally being the bigger person, is like, hey dad, get down on like your knees and open your arms. We're gonna redo our reunion again. And they embrace each other and like break down crying right there in that shop and saying like it's so good to have each other back in our lives.
Yeah.
And
we finally get to see the reunion that was supposed to happen last episode. Basically, it was a nice, heartwarming feeling.
Oh, it was. Yeah, no, it was great. The only thing I'll say from this episode I wish I got to see more was just Rudy interacting with his little sister, because I really feel like I just feel like they could have given him time to if they gave him time to repair that one, they could have spent just a little bit on the other one.
I mean, but listen. At
the
end, her daddy told Norn to say goodbye to your big brother. She was like, "No, I'm not speaking to that man." Basically,
and Ruger being basically somewhat like a big brother is like cherish your siblings and everything like that. Yeah. And it seems like Norn at least might later on be open to the possibility of building a relationship.
Now, with that being said, some different topics now relating to the episode. So now the Rudy and the gang, if I'm not mistaken, they're still on their way to take Eris home, but they now know that the city is basically not there anymore. So does that basically has to mean that when Eris' grandfather got beheaded, they wasn't at their original place, that he was taken somewhere else.
Well, yeah, no, actually, that's a good. Thank you for calling that back, because I didn't consider that.
And then on top of that, now that if the city is gone, how is Eris in the group gonna find out that that Eris' grandfather was beheaded? Like,
that is a good question. Maybe. I mean, granted, the way they kind of framed, and they said his name in this episode, and I still can't remember it. But I think the only other way they could probably find out is when they make it back, if they're on the same if they're on the continent that they grew up on, at least. The only way I can think is when they make it back, that there might be like posters or news bulletins hanging up saying like, "Oh, we killed the evil king" or something like that. Yeah. And it's like a picture of her dad, her grandfather.
Yeah.
Because we don't know where her dad is, because apparently her dad also got
as well.
Her dad. We found out not only we already knew Rudy's family was all over the place, but we also got to find out that Eris' grandfather and father also got spirited away from the
her grandfather didn't get spirited away. His father got grandfather.
It said later, but he does mention Paul does mention to Rudy and them that he says that Sir whatever her granddad's name,
Sir Boreas.
Also, there we go. Also got displaced, and as well as Ghislaine. So we have a lot of people missing, and it seems like Rudy and them while returning Eris back to where she came from, are taking a more cognitive approach of like, well, let's also be aware of people that might have gotten displaced on our travels.
So it's also been confirmed that after Rudy takes Eris home, or at least to see what's left of home, that he's gonna go look for the rest of his family now. Do you think that Rugier will stay with them on that trip, on that adventure to go find his family?
I definitely think so, because the people, because in Rudy's family is our children. and you know how Ruijerd feels about kids already.
Correct. Well, I mean,
So
I
I
was
feel
just
like
asking
that'd be
because
a big one.
technically Ruijerd's mission was to get them home
Mhm.
and not to go on, this other adventure to find, Rudy's family and stuff like that. So I
True,
just
but
wanted to know, what you think about that. Do you think he'll
true,
stay
but I
with
think
them or not?
I think another thing to point out is that like Ruijerd also, his goal is to have Rudy help him return the super name to good.
Okay, well, yeah.
And I feel like if they decide to try and help find Rudy's family, he would want to be a part of that.
Correct.
As like more good karma kind of.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. That's a good point right there. That's a beautiful point right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see what they get into. But before, like, I guess we get to ratings, we also found out that at the end of this episode, Geese is taking up. Basically, I'm going to make sure he's going to look after the group from afar.
Geese is a swell person. Okay,
so, yeah,
Geese is a swell guy. He helped Rudy get out of the Beast Village. He helped him fight the North Star. Now he helped. Then he came back and helped play Dr. Phil's dad, help him make up with his dad, and now he's about to go help look for this man's family.
Mm-hmm.
That Geese is the type of person you want on your team.
Yeah, no. You got a friend like Geese, you cherish that man. you cherish that friend.
You better
call him up.
They better take care of Geese, okay? If I come back to Mushoku and something happens to Geese, I'm gonna be highly pissed.
He a fan favorite now. He a fan favorite of the Gurren Otaku Council. You heard it here first.
I'm gonna be highly pissed. They better protect Geese. I better see next time I see him, he better not be the body bag. Okay? I don't want that. They better not 86 this man.
Yeah, I hope they don't 86 this man. But with all that being said and everything, this is a pretty good episode of Mushoku. I want to give this. I'm in between like a 7.5 and an 8. Like it's definitely above a 7 for me because it features a lot of character growth for characters we have not seen in a long time, as well as builds the world like a lot because we finally get just more information on who was displaced by the mountain disaster,
right.
And that has a lot of implications on the story moving forward because we now have a new goal, we now have everything else like this. It's just same thing. This seems like this might be a setup for things to come, and therefore I feel like I can't give it fully an 8.
Correct. No, I agree.
Like I did like the other episode, but like this is definitely like a 7.5. I want to say it's like it's almost there. It was just missing something.
I agree.
Small.
I got to go with a 7 as well. We finally got to see the reunion between Paul and Rudius, which was, like I said earlier, nice and heartwarming. So that was always good. We got to see Geese being, a swell Chad out here today. Keep, like we said earlier, keep Geese on your team. And then we also got the confirmation of, like we said, Rudy's next adventure. He's actually finished, now go start looking for his family and stuff like that. So that should be another, nice time to, see Rudy go through that as well because we're no longer in the Demon Nation. So beside, like, what conflicts will come up while he's looking for his family members? That's what I want to see now. Also, are they gonna get into the conflict with the whole Boris family situation that's going on? Are they gonna find out that Eris's grandfather was beheaded?
Well, I wonder a couple of things. I wonder as we're searching through this because we finally got last episode. We know Rudy's mind now, knowing that everybody in his village kind of got displaced. His mind is also on Sylphie, so I wonder if at some point Sylphie might join the group, or if they find her.
That's a good point as well. Because I mean, if they do somehow find Sylphie, then they got another magic user.
Yeah, if she kept practicing after Rudy left, which probably she did.
I'm glad you brought that up because they mention all the time how they never seen a magic user who can cast spells without incantations and stuff like that. What they don't know is there's a second one out there, Sylphie, that was trained by Rudy. She might not be able to do well. We don't know because we haven't seen Sylphie in a minute.
Because I was gonna say it's been about 2 to 3 years since we've seen Sylphie, so she probably done bossed up.
Sylphie could be cracked right now, out of her mind. Sylphie could be OP. She could be, depending on how much training she actually been doing, she could be better with magic than Rudy. I know that's crazy to say, but she could possibly be better than. Because I mean, at the point before they even got split up, it was almost like they was on the same kind of, not the same par, like
just a little. They were a little bit.
yeah, like
one was
like
a
of
little.
course Rudy was still better than Silphy, but the fact that Silphy was able to even keep up with Rudy and even learn incantationless magic shows her prowess and skill in magic as well.
So it'd be interesting to see what would happen if they found her. One, if she would join them, and two, like I guess how much has her character changed and stuff like that. That would be an interesting thing. And then also, with since you mentioned the stuff with like Eris's grandfather, we now have the thing. Well, when they return, will they be thrust into that gray rat conflicts that their family has?
Correct.
Like what would that look like if they do? So I'm very excited to see what else we're gonna get from Mushoku as we continue.
All right. Well, that was the end of that was the end of all the animes we have for today. Just a reminder, if you guys have not seen it yet, our My Hero World's Heroes Mission movie review is out now live on all our audio podcast platform as well as YouTube as well.
Please check it out. It's probably one of our funny, in my opinion, it's probably one of our most entertaining episodes. Our friends are fools.
That they are. As well as we got, some a little anime news right here for you guys. We're coming up on One Piece's 1000th episode. For those of you who don't know, One Piece is my favorite anime. I know I don't think I said that on this podcast yet, but yes, One Piece is my favorite anime. I wanted to cover it, but I didn't know how I was gonna do it. I still might do it. I just got to figure out how I wanna. Just got to figure out some things. But One Piece is my favorite anime. We're coming up on our 1000th episode. That's going to release on November the 20th. There's a lot of hype out here going on for us One Piece fans. If you have not seen One Piece, consider giving it a go. But I will say, do it at a time where you don't have anything else to watch. Like if you're just in an anime drought, give One Piece a chance. And for all you motherfuckers out there that say it's too long, you're gonna be just like us. We started watching it and now we saying it's not long enough. God damn it! So just give it a chance.
I would also just say, as a person who I've read more One Piece than I've watched it, just take your time with it. You don't necessarily have to catch up immediately. Correct. One Piece. One thing I'll say about One Piece fans that I like is that they're not out here spoiled. Like, oh, this just happened. Let's throw a clip up of this and this. Like, for instance, Boruto fans, and you know who you are. I have never had to watch one episode of Boruto, and I'm basically caught up.
You know exactly
to the anime.
What's going on. Yeah. Yes, come join the One Piece fandom. We're one of the best, anime fandoms out there. We'll welcome you with open arms. Come join us. Be a part of us. So yeah, with that being said, we're gonna pass it on McMillian. He go ahead and take us on out of here.
Yeah. So before I close out the meeting, just remember, y'all, if you want to stay up to date with the council, be sure to follow us on Twitter at the Gurren Otakus. Well, excuse me, at Gurren Otakus. No the. On Instagram, you can find us under Gurren Otaku Council, and for our streaming, our Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcast listeners. If you enjoyed the episode, consider giving us a follow so you can stay up with the episode releases. For the YouTube watchers, hit the subscribe button. We try and release every week on Wednesdays. With that being said, meeting adjourned, guys. We thank you for coming out and showing your support. Peace.